these beautiful unicorns.
Today we're talking about roles written for men, but now played by women. We're drinking a tea named for Captain Wentworth of Persuasion.
Like delicious, strong song.
We actually do research these things. And when we were researching, we discovered a role originally written for a man that we cannot possibly imagine a man in this role is Rosalind Russell's role in His Girl Friday.
I don't even know what movie that is.
The underappreciated secretary and his bro boss friend.
That's such a gendered story. The invisible female worker and the invisible female work not appreciated by the boss who is inevitably male. Like, that doesn't make sense with a man in both roles.
It doesn't.
The engine that drives that movie is sexual tension.
It's the marriage plot.
Like,
so this is like post-Hays Code, so we're not talking about a time when we could make a gay romance. Yeah. It's not about two men falling in love, unfortunately.
It wouldn't have been that. That would be a really cool redo.
It would be an awesome redo.
The movie Salt with Angelina Jolie. That part had been written for a man, but specifically for Tom Cruise. He didn't want to play it, and Angelina Jolie really did. Didn't have to change that much to her character to just make it into a character that Angelina Jolie could play.
But they did have to change the love interest so he wasn't emasculated.
They did have to change
It's emasculating to be
for an
the girl
entomologist
one.
to not know how to do basic combat.
What must that character have been like when it was written as a woman?
Yeah.
Horrible. And this gets me into the LACMA reads. This was an Olivia Wilde
quote.
It's a quote. They did flip the script on American Pie. So all the men were read by women, and all of the women were read by men. And she talked about how they thought it was going to be this fun adventure. And like probably 20, 30 minutes in, the guys were like,
because normally the men have a lot to do. I wonder
horrible.
what that's like.
And she was just like, welcome to my world, bro.
Yeah, this is my everyday audition.
This is, if I'm lucky, I get this role.
So it really makes sense from the perspective of an actress who has reached a point in her career where she doesn't have to say yes to every role, where she would want to pick a role that was written for a man just because those roles tend to be more interesting.
And Jodie Foster has said she no longer wants to go for roles written for women.
Which is what she did in Elysium. And it's great. Like, she's the best part of that movie.
She's fantastic.
What is neat is trying to see places in which the industry is doing this for bit parts, for crowd scenes. The cjane.org people have a campaign for this called Every Month is Add Female Characters Month.
Every month.
Every month. Since it doesn't come naturally, obviously.
Even to female writers.
We all write, we all know how
do it.
not natural this is when you grow up in a patriarchy. You're used to seeing men's stories, you're used to men being on camera.
The default is male.
The crowd scenes and even small bit parts that are just sort of by default men, especially in animation. Because when you make a crowd scene in animation, you just want to take like a character and copy and paste it.
Right.
So they tend to be mostly men.
I have a crowd scene. Could half of these people be women?
Sure!
And if you're a writer writing that, a crowd forms, half of which are women.
Just remind the casting director, get it in there.
A TV show that's doing a really good job of this too is BoJack Horseman.
Yes.
And they recently got some viral attention for a conversation that the showrunner and his main character designer had on Tumblr regarding a single sight gag. Throwaway characters that were never going to show up again, and the character designer designed them both as women, and she had to fight for that.
And bottom line, you don't have to explain why this person's a woman, or why she's a black woman, or why it's a Puerto Rican man.
Controversial opinion, I think you should have to explain why it's a white dude. Because there's so many of them, why does this one have to be one?
You wouldn't set your computer to all the default settings, come on!
People will jump on board. It will take a minute, and that minute is a minute spent where they are examining their own default and going, oh fuck, that was a default for me. I don't have to do that.
Yep.
Well, that's valuable. We all really believe in this too, that this also goes for people of color and characters of color.
Places where you say parents, you say my moms. Like places where you can say my two dads. Like
anytime you can reflect the actual world around us and normalize our actual world into a media, because that's what it's doing. Thank you, Shonda Rhimes, for that. You have a character in your head. This character is doing something, whether it's a lead character or cop number one. And then once you have the idea of that person, what if you made them a woman?
That's it. Just cross out their name, change their name to a woman. Or
a female name.
A name that is indiscernibly male or female.
This is
Tina Belcher. Beloved. Originally drafted as a young teen
and
boy.
They kept the voice actor, but
they just changed the name. They just or Tina. And it's one of the most iconic characters.
The other half of the battle is saying, okay, well, there are some things about men and women that are intrinsic to character, and so if you're going to change a character, we're going to see a lot from a man to a woman. You might think about changing some of their attributes.
You have to think about how that will affect their perspective and the way they move through the world.
But scientist number one, who comes in to bring the lab results,
doesn't have to explain her femininity while she gives you the lab results.
Also, the brilliant thing about film as a collaborative art and media, piece of media, is that the actor can bring that to the table. It's not all on the writing.
Read, elect, supply with an army. Roles written for men but played by women.
Salt definitely gets an army.
We are reading Tina Belcher's erotic friend fiction.
I should go down. Yes.
Electing
President Russell.
President Russell.
Madam President Russell.